I started this whole series because of anger and disappointment, but not at The Force Awakens. Despite its numerous shortcomings, I think the movie is too bland to deserve all-out hatred. Those emotions stirred when I watched an online review of The Force Awakens. That review deemed the movie as the beginning of a new chapter, a new era if you will. Since the previous era, aka the prequels, was by and large disappointing, this new one had to prove itself to the fans by playing it safe first and only later trying out something different and grand, which of course is complete and utter garbage. Playing it safe is anathema to the core of Star Wars. Did you ever read about the making of the original movie? It was like tiptoeing across a minefield, praying, hoping it was possible to reach the other end without setting anything off. I showed clips of J.J. Abrams and Larry Kasdan discussing the philosophy behind the making of The Force Awakens. Let's watch them again.
This entire process has been, in some ways, an exercise in denial. By allowing ourselves to deny, holy shit, it's Star Wars. Holy God, what are we doing? By not being burdened by the opportunity and understanding, or letting that be the guiding principle. I think we were all trying not to focus on the enormous responsibility of it.
See, that sticks in my craw. Does he think he was the first person to feel that kind of pressure? What about the novelists, who were also handed the keys to the kingdom? What about the video game developers who turned out masterpieces of their own? I'm sure they also felt the pressure, yet many of these outsiders took on the challenge and produced work that went for the risk, that strayed somewhat from the road George Lucas had paved, but still stuck to the basic principles of Star Wars. Why should novelists, game developers, and comic book artists be held to higher standards than filmmakers? Yet you still find people who claim that not only is The Force Awakens good, it might be just as good as the original trilogy. I'm not going to claim that the first Star Wars emerged from a concerted effort to mastermind one of the greatest movies of all time. Hell, George Lucas was convinced by the end of post-production that it would be a flop. Lots of hard-working people, like composer John Williams and editors Marcia Lucas, Richard Chew and Paul Hirsch, put in the effort to make something formidable out of Star Wars. Those 4 people took home well-deserved Academy Awards for their troubles. In fact, the entire movie received 10 Academy Award nominations, the highest tally for any movie in the franchise so far. George Lucas didn't do it alone, and he probably didn't set out to create a cultural behemoth. But at the deepest level, he must have believed he was doing something special and different. Otherwise, he might have thrown in the towel somewhere along the way. So the idea that The Force Awakens should get by on nostalgia, regurgitated ideas, and half-baked concepts is offensively ignorant. Ultimately, The Force Awakens demeans the franchise. Despite what J.J. Abrams says, there was no need to play it safe. Want proof? 2015 saw the reawakening of another old but far less celebrated franchise, Mad Max. Heralded by many as one of the best films of that year, Mad Max Fury Road did what The Force Awakens should have done. Grab 1 or 2 things that made the original movies work, then fashion it into something different and relevant. But above all else, well crafted and meticulously thought out. And this is Mad Max we're talking about. It has nowhere near the same pedigree as Star Wars. The last Mad Max movie was released in 1985. You want to talk about a franchise that needed to regain trust? That's Mad Max, not Star Wars. Did they play it safe? No. Risk-taking and hard work turned Fury Road into a glorious movie that nabbed 10 Academy Award nominations and won 6 of them. Sounds familiar? Yes, it's the exact same number of nominations and wins that the original Star Wars had. Some categories even overlapped. Coincidence? Well, yes, of course, but there's one standout pattern. A passion that, despite all the difficulties in production, it still shows through in the final product. To sum everything up, Star Wars: A New Hope showed you that if you put in the elbow grease to create wonderment and emotion, you can achieve great success and reach the souls of millions upon millions of people. The Force Awakens showed us that a shoddily crafted forgery can reach the wallets of millions upon millions of people with only half the effort. So, do I think fans of The Force Awakens are fools? No, I don't. But aside from sentimental reasons, I can't for the life of me figure out why people who watched the original movies would settle for something that is so patently inferior to them in spirit. What really frightens me is that people like that might start making movies in the years to come. For all storytellers out there, let these videos be a lesson in what happens when you play it too safe and settle for less than greatness. And ask yourselves this: would a movie like The Force Awakens have worked if it didn't have the words Star Wars stamped on the poster? Thanks for your time.